Okay, so we're still here with Dr. Dave, pegging him with questions. So, Dr. David Hepburn, thank you again for coming to the Buyers Club, helping us understand more about cannabis. And one of the more interesting benefits of cannabis use has been in helping with people with seizures. In fact, the regulations in Canada for patients really, in large part, started because of a case of a man, Terry Parker, who had a lot of medical evidence that cannabis controlled his seizures. So maybe if you could start by describing how seizures happen, and then...
Wow. Well, there's different types of seizures, and interestingly enough, different cannabinoids seem to work better for one type of seizure than for another. For example, CBD works well for one type of seizure, whereas CBDV works better for perhaps a focal seizure. So there's different types of seizures. Now, seizures are usually this imbalance of this inhibitory-excitatory ratio of neurotransmitters going across the membranes, and they get imbalanced, and there could be, we know things like there's a change in receptors in children with chronic seizure conditions, that they actually have more CB1 receptors as they try to fix the imbalances, which they can't. Now, I could summarize this up very quickly by saying kylasquest.com. Everybody should go to that website if they want to find out truly the story of how seizures work. Charlotte Figge, of course, in the United States, in Colorado, is well known that she initiated an interest through some key opinion leader physicians like Sanjay Gupta and others, who watched as this girl or as a girl like Kyla went from 200 seizures a day and had been on all the anticonvulsants to zero with CBD. And that her parents, her grandparents, he was RCMP officer, and that to watch them go from one sort of opinion to polar opposite as advocates because they watched and saw what it did for their child. So again, the other important word here is Epidiolex. The US FDA approving a medication for the first time from cannabis, from the real cannabis plant, which was so effective at treating 40% of patients with seizures, children with seizures, with the most difficult types of seizures, Dravet's and Lennox-Gastaut syndromes, that they approved it in July of 2018, which was astounding. So again, that was approved because of its effective role in the world of seizures. Even though the National Academy did not include seizures, it's because they hadn't had the major research in front of them at that particular time. But I would suggest of all the things that cannabis can help, perhaps the most dramatic is and evident is in the world of seizures. So again, it is primarily a CBD anti-seizure action, but there are other cannabinoids that also have anti-seizure activity.
Okay. I guess there's different strains of cannabis. Indica are more sedative generally, and sativa are generally more uplifting. We understand a lot of those differences come from terpenes, but do you understand that with epilepsy that there's a preference of one over the other, or is that very individual?
Truly, it's more the CBD, like the contents of the actual product. So in a lot of the medical world, they're trying to lean away from indica, sativa nomenclature simply because it doesn't necessarily tell us what percentages of cannabinoids or terpenes are there. That is actually, from a medical perspective, from, when everything in medicine is you're trying to exactly find the right percentages of this, and for research purposes, that's what is done more. That being said, the indica sativa issues are very real. I mean, there's a difference in the plants, there's a difference in the, but are they all really, when it boils down to cannabis sativa anyway? So there is, and if I'm wrong, may the police come and pick me up now, because I think I'm right. But that being said, it is still a matter of the fact that indica sativa nomenclature is sort of losing ground to the importance of the percentages of the cannabinoids and terpenes.
5 minutes.
Okay. So, yeah.
Sending for another place.
So regardless of the whole with getting away from the indica sativa labeling for it, medicinally though, is there any research done behind uplifting strains being okay for epileptic patients versus sedative strains? Because I've been told stories of people needing that jog in their brain to keep everything going versus sometimes smoking indica would actually put them into a seizure, and then obviously vice versa.
Yeah, well, it's a very good question again that I don't know the specifics to, because indica sativa is kind of still remains a bit of a, from a research and medical perspective, not a real starter there. But yes, I mean, there's no doubt that you can aggravate and you can mitigate the ratios of EI ratios, which is basically two neurotransmitters, GABA and glutamate. So that balancing between one or the other, and is the effect of the endocannabinoid system of being able to balance those off. Again, it turns out it's more of a CBD thing than anything else as far as whether it tends to be more what type of terpenes are involved in it. I'm not aware that some terpenes have claims of having anti-seizure activity, but I'm not aware of any that actually propagate seizure activity per se.
Now, this medical condition, more than others, touches upon another very sensitive issue that you've discussed, which is children and the use of cannabis when it comes to their medical need. And so it is very tricky for a parent to bring it up to the physician. Can you discuss that issue?
Yeah, I would say that as a child, if you're a parent of a child with 200 seizures a day, it's a no-brainer. You know, everything is risk-benefit ratio. What's the risk of doing nothing, or what's the benefit of adding a cannabinoid, which has been shown case after case now to be effective as an anti-seizure option. So again, when I tell patients or parents, I said, you are in charge of your health, not your doctor. Your doctor doesn't wake up in the morning and think about you and your health. So you need to realize that you can direct very much a lot of the care to focus on what's concerning you. And if you want to talk to your doctor about cannabis, you talk to them about it. And I think that that's, obviously physicians are different, but as the global tipping point happens, there is a continued education for physicians. They're learning more and more and more and seeing the fact that it's a tremendous option for many conditions that they want to use for.